I think that's pretty awesome out of both of them. Here we go. So we haven't talked the first time about slide boosting, or I think it's what it's called, or deboost during the slide, whatever. If you do a slide into an enemy when you're in proximity of it, you will actually go right through it without taking the knockback animation. And the game in general is pretty permissive for damage, so players will abuse that through the entire run at some point in every stage for sure.
It's pretty unique in that regard. You have so much ability to move and just ignore knockback. Ignore knockback.
Yeah, and you can also ignore drops, because drops don't stop your, I guess your velocity if you want, or your movement in the air or on the ground, so you can just keep going. I think this game is different, but it's pretty incredible from a speedrun standpoint. If you like to go fast, you can go fast.
It's very nice and simple.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, this game was outsourced by Capcom to a third party, and at the time it had mixed reviews, but because it looked very different. But I find the game has its unique features that makes it what it is. But that's why you have songs that you might not be completely familiar with and things like that.
It always seemed like each Mega Man game was somebody's favorite game, and I'd say this is probably my favorite Mega Man game.
And I think we need to talk to Speed Game and check out this sync. I think they cropped the same game twice. Not really, you can tell from the colors.
Well executed, much better start. That was a nice little warm-up that last round. But now I see we're getting serious.
For sure. It literally frame for frame almost. I'm not a machine, so I can't see who's ahead. Looks like Tuba did his stage selection is slightly faster, so that takes into account. I mean, if you do it faster 8 times across the entire run, it gives you a couple seconds lead.
Yeah, that was probably one of my hardest struggles when learning to run this game, was just picking the right Robot Master cleanly.
Yes, and also the menuing. I'm sure you've all noticed it by now, but the menuing is pretty... there's several menuing, I should say, in this game. A lot of weapon switching. They're both opting for the safe route at the bottom. Don't blame either runner. The top, if you don't make it, is actually quite the time loss. I think Tuba's movement is just slightly cleaner right now, which is why he maybe has a half a screen lead, but nothing major on either, no major mistakes in this stage from either player. They are very similar in skill sets, so you're going to see probably a close match the entire way.
Yeah, they seem to be keeping in pace, given they started the level like maybe half a second apart, quarter of a second.
See if any of them opt to squeeze in shots. Tuba's going right in, and so is Granin. And they kept this sync for an entire stage. Maybe a second or two from Tuba gained, that's about it.
Yeah, and I noticed Tuba finished a little bit closer to the center of the screen. During these Robot Master fights, you want to be as close to the center as possible, that way you don't have to run to the center before you collect the power-up after beating the boss.
And that's a good point, because Mega Man walks extremely slow in this one too to get to the center. Here they go through the Airman Tiki heads. You can slide into them and continue your route. If you get it right the first time, the pattern is kind of fixed, but if you're off rhythm, then you might as well just do the standard jump and walk.
This is probably one of the hardest stages, just because all the pits. Like
Yeah, I
through
think-
Metal Man, you take a ton of damage, but you just get insta-killed if you fall off a ledge here.
Yeah, there's a lot of death mistakes, like you're saying. Yeah, many little places that can cost you a life. Fortunately, the spawning point of the hardest section right here is in the same screen. Looks like both runners opted to save their wood shield for safety. You just need 2 shots on an optimal airman fight. Typically, you would fall 1 short if you use it through the entire stage, so you hope for a small drop. Both players don't have to worry about that at all.
Yeah, another nice difference about the Game Boy Mega Man games is the Leaf Shield is actually 4 pieces instead of just 1 continuous shield. So you'll notice like 3 of those leaves bounced off on RaveTuba's screen, but the last one got through and hit Airman.
I find that's a neat feature, especially for Game Boy. You'd think Game Boy would be pretty limited in what they can do, but having implemented that is pretty nice.
Mhm.
So about the same lead, maybe another couple seconds for Tuba, maybe about a 6-second lead, I'm saying.
Flashman is a pretty special stage. It's really hard to notice if you're going slowly or not, just because vertical climbing through in any speedrun basically is really, really tough to optimize. You have to jump as soon as you hit the ground, and you have to just make sure you don't go too high above the platforms when you jump up on them.
Yeah, and for those reasons is you'll see a lot of rush jet abuse in the stage to maximize your jump, as you're saying, so that you have less travel distance upward as possible.
When I was
pretty-
learning, I would compare my runs side by side with the record, and I would see seconds lost in this stage. I'm just doing the same exact things.
I noticed that your is it a 1927 that you have or something about
think
that,
so, yeah.
and it has no zips at all. So your play is very, very clean. I can only imagine where you can take it with the new zips. If
Yeah,
you
you do
choose
save
to
a lot of
pursue
time.
it.
As let's see, Andy is saying he can take the record down to 18-0 something. That's his goal, at least. And before zips were found, the record was 1913.
Yeah.
That's a
Here we
lot
have
of
the
time.
Clashman fight. I would say this is the hardest robot fight of the first 4, at least, if not all the game. Both players are choosing to play it safe, which I don't blame them. You have limited ammo, and Clashman, like every other boss, just has an off weakness with air here, with only 2 damage.
Yeah, it does 2 damage per 2 units of energy. So that's nice and all. It's technically exactly enough to beat him, except that you have an odd number of units of energy, so you just wind up with 1 at the end, and he winds up with 1 health.
Yeah, so shooting him with the rush jet at the start is to eliminate that factor.
It's definitely the hardest. I'd say the hardest boss in the game, actually.
Yeah, I think Magnet is up there too as somebody that can run you over. So here we have the eyebrowless wiggling. This is the Wily that doesn't wiggle his eyebrows. He must be the fake one.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, he is from the future. What, like, I forget how far from the future he's from, but yeah, I think maybe he's just too old to wiggle his eyebrows now.
Both players are into the Man stage now. One of my personal favorites, both from the song's perspective and the stage. Very technical. There's a lot of weapon managing in the sense that you can't overuse your metal blade, but you have to use it everywhere. But your ammo doesn't replenish at this point on, much like all Wily stages mechanics into other Mega Mans. So players will have to manage their rush jet and their metal blades more specifically. And they'll actually hop. You'll see that on Tuba's screen right now, where he keeps hopping off of rush jet because energy is just consumed off rush jet when you're actually standing on him.
A nice carryover mechanic from Mega Man 3.
That's right. Both players are... Tuba's been kind of getting a second or two every stage here. He must be like two, 3 screens ahead. Got plenty of health for Magnet, so Magnet can hit you for 4 damage when he touches you. Typically you want to take 1 damage to optimize it, but he's getting no damage.
Nice safe fight. That's pretty good.
And you still killed him at the top. I really like that. That's some textbook user-friendly Magnet right there. Grounding through as well, so...
At least it's nice in the center kill.
No major mistakes in this run from either player, which is pretty nice. You want to see a clean run. It's harder for me to curse somebody. You see Tuba grabbing the E-Tank on top of the Hardman stage. I believe up until the recent discovery to pick up both in Clash, that was the fastest E-Tank to get. However, the Bs are pretty much a time loss here if you get hit all the time.
And back in the day, the old Speed Demos archive record or video for this game, it used to get that tank, and I think that was before anyone really timed how fast the E-Tanks were to get. I think there are a couple faster ones.
Yeah, I think it was more about comfort, and then optimization came second.
It makes sense in theory because you use rush coil a lot in the stage anyway.
Yeah, there's been a recent discovery that it's actually like half a second faster than optimally with the magnet-only route. However, it makes Hardman that much harder because you have the exact amount of ammo, so if you knock some of it away, which happens a lot, you're messed up and losing a lot more time after that. Not a bad fight there. Shot one the wrong way, which cost him a few frames.
The most important thing is that you beat him before he lands on the ground. It'll waste... Yeah, as you can see on Brendan Hero's screen, that wasted like 2 seconds.
But both runners are through with not too many casualties, but we gotta see Grannon start making some time somewhere here, because Tuba's not letting him have it here. You got your phones, time to call 1-800 Ring, guys. Time to break the game. So I'm not sure, Jagger, how familiar you are with the zips. Maybe you are at this point, but I know in your time it was a clean zipless run. But basically, if you shoot a hard knuckle in the exact screen transition frame when you're in certain spots, you'll actually get transitioned into the screen below the one you're actually supposed to go to, but the graphics are all messed up. So players will memorize how the terrain and such. You see here on Tuba's screen, when you're on the ladder, it's easier to get to the frame that you want.
Yeah, it's such a weird concept. You notice it just cuts the scrolling. It just cuts the scrolling off entirely. Like right after it starts, it just stops, and then Mega Man is just already on the bottom of the screen.
Oh, Tuba took a death, and we have a lead chance. Sorry to interrupt you. I was like,
nice.
We got something going on.
Well, not nice, but
no, I understand what you mean.
Exciting.
But they're still relatively close. That another mistake is shifted right back here. Opting to use Rush Jet this time as a safety measure, not a bad choice if you're not comfortable with that particular section, or just to get through it. Sometimes it's a mind game. You feel like you're gonna get stuck there over and over, so you just want to get through it. We have the top man fight. It takes 5 knuckles to kill him. Basically, you want to shoot 2 of them, delay your third one, and shoot 2 more.
Lost a couple of seconds from him having to spin to the other side of the screen, but more concerningly, that is an extra hard knuckle that he used up.
Yeah, hard knuckle ammo is hard to come by. There's a recently discovered zip-on needle that lets you grab the large one that is located at the top, where normally you need to use the rush coil to get, which kind of eliminates the RNG factor of that coveted small drop that you look for. I don't know if either runner here has learned that one yet, but we'll see. But the stage is pretty difficult, I would say. Probably the one that you need to spend the most time on to start mastering.
Yeah, I really like this long screen on top here. It's pretty fun to slide through all those cannons and position Rush in just the right position to just like walk off of them and slide on the rest of the platforms.
And both runners should be using an E-tank here to basically get through all these needle spikes. Oh, we do see the glitch from Ganon, so that's the new zip where you do it on the ladder, and you're going through the same amount of spikes, but when you go up this ladder, you're directly falling onto the large pickup, which that in itself is eliminating the RNG of finding some hard knuckle ammo. I don't know what the actual time is, like if it's a time saver loss as opposed to the regular route, but
it's definitely most likely a time save. Because in addition to the zip prior, it also kind of zips you up to the tank, and it just saves screen transition time.
Yeah, and
a
also
bit of a tight spot for Grounded Hero, but he has plenty of E-tanks.
Yeah, at this point you don't want to take another death. The needle is good at giving deaths. You can do a lot of damage in a short period of time. You can see that on Tuba's screen. He was full for that fight, and within seconds it was down to half.
Ideally, in a world record run, you only get 1 energy tank, but you probably want 3 in a race, just because things happen.
Yeah, for sure. Andy actually experimented the other day that it's theoretically possible to do E-tankless, but the risk is so high for such a low reward that it's not worth at the moment to go for it.
And there is a lot of RNG involved as well. You need enough energy refills to damage, to just slide through damage for a lot of stages, on top of needing the
the crusher boosts and whatnot.
Yeah, needing energy to just bash through Wily.
This is it, guys. We're going in the pink and green fortresses of Wily. And worth mentioning that Wily has good taste with the Salvador Dali background. The melting clock. See if they go for any of the hard knuckle zips here. Some of them are difficult, but they're definitely big time savers.
Here it doesn't seem to be going for the early frame perfect ones.
I think like most of the runs, they're going to go with what they're comfortable with, which are like the 2 mandatory zips, that we can call them.
Yeah, that one they do off of the ladder at the end is, what is that, like a 20-second time saver on its own?
Yeah, it takes 22 seconds to go all the way around optimally. It's mean, you would get an 18 if you wouldn't do that.
Yeah. As soon as Tremaine found the zips, like that was pretty shortly after his record run. And I took a look at it and I was like, whoa, how much time does this save on Wily alone?
Yeah. Worth mentioning that I don't know if you're a fan of zipless or if that's just what you knew, but there actually are talks of possibly creating a zipless category of this game.
Oh, interesting.
Because most Game Boy games are zipless, however, this one is pretty broken, to use those words. You can pretty much break it apart with glitches and clips. So maybe a zipless category would be a bit more fitting. We're already at the Wily fight. Looks like Rushjet is just... Yeah, Rushjet is just... He's just here for show. He's like, I want to be a Mega Man hat.
Licking Mega Man's face. Oh man. He really doesn't want to use that energy tank early, but it's probably the best option.
Luckily, he's still full health, I believe, or almost. Should be enough to go through the Sakugarni's start. Well, Tuba just going without Rushjet altogether.
Yeah, he'll have enough health. He just has to be really careful on the third phase, I think.
That was a really good second
it looks
phase.
like he's got it. He's got plenty of health.
Yeah, Tuba unfortunately casted it too early and it despawned on him before the energy refill on Wily. So that was his chance to maybe getting a last little ditch effort.
Yeah, unfortunately he gets Wily moving to the left as well, which is it's a little slower. He has to slowly fly all the way to the right side of the screen. However, that did avoid a soft lock. If you have him too far off the right edge of the screen when you finish the second phase, he just despawns.
GG Grand Hero though at 21:53 according to SRL, which I'm not sure if it's up to date, but on the leaderboards that's his PB, so that's
nice.
basically a PB and a 1 minute 28 seconds race PB for him. For Tuba, we have a 22:14. I believe he got a 22:03 PB or something like that earlier today. But yeah, that's a 2 minutes 21 seconds PB for him in a race. So both players have made strides in terms of their first matches that they lost before they came to the lower bracket. So that's the case with many runners. They've been getting better as the tournament went on.
Yeah, that was a really good round one, only 20 seconds apart. And one unfortunate death from RaveTuba that was probably the difference.
Yeah, and if something screams game 3, it could be something like this, like just one mistake and the leads was shifting. Oh, so we got some Gran Hero fans in the chat saying that it was actually a 1 second PB for Gran, or GG to Gran.
Nice. I love how this is